Hello there. It is Amed and Rochelle. We want to welcome you to the Embrace channel, where we are going to be talking about all things relationships, all things couples. Listen, it is our goal to really help Black couples, specifically, stay together.
Yes.
Right? We're all about Black love. We're all about relationships. Is that right, Amed?
Definitely. We gotta, keep the couples together.
Yeah, we gotta do it for the culture. Listen, what makes us qualified to do this? Just real quick, we'll tell you our story later as we go along. But we're 29 years in the game.
29,
almost 3 decades in the game. And we have a lot of experience in our own relationship, a lot of experience helping other couples in their relationships. And so we wanted to bring this to the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You know what they say, right?
What?
2 plus 9 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2.
Oh, wow. Y'all see what I have to deal with, right? So let's dig in right now. This morning we had some breaking news, and that is that Porsha and Simon seem to be getting a divorce.
Okay.
This is an interesting topic because we just got to change. Now, as we go into this, Amed, you don't really keep up with a lot of the reality TV news and things of that nature, but I try to keep you abreast, right?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. And when I try to keep you abreast, you say things like, do you have to tell me all of the details?
Right. I don't need all of the details. So
I've been keeping him on notice about some of the things that have been going on. Like, for example, how over the past few weeks, since the Grammys, when Candy announced that she was not coming back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and then right after that, how the talk of the town was just that Porsha was supposed to be coming back.
Okay.
Last week, Porsha announced on her Instagram officially that she is coming back.
Okay.
That she's not, she said, I'm hearing Porsha Williams is coming back. She said, that's false. Porsha Williams is not coming back, but Porsha Guabadia is going to be in the house.
Okay.
So, of course, that's Simon's last name, her last name as his wife.
Okay.
Then what happened is, I want to say either late last week or over the weekend or early this week, something like that. My days are all running together. But within the past few days, right after Porsha announced she was coming back, there was an announcement of Simon having some problems with immigration and his citizenship was continuing to be denied.
Where is he coming from?
He's from Nigeria.
Okay.
So all of these documents came out and they talked about how he had been accused of, I'm not sure about convictions and all of that, but I'm just going to say allegedly he had some fraud things in his past, some identity theft things in his past. He had some credit card issues in his past. He had been coming to the United States on a visa, but been staying longer than the 6-month period. And there had been a lot of things in his past. And when I say past, I'm talking about back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, but even all of that being said, that's just news and gossip. You can never really tell what may have been going on. It could be something small and somebody is blowing it up, making a big deal out of it. So none of that really sways me. I don't know him,
sure,
but none of that sways me about his character or who he might be. I'm not even going to jump on that bandwagon he's a bad person. I'm not going to do that.
Yes, for sure. So all of these, so the reason that I think it came out is because he had just gone to get the announcement or the ruling on whether his citizenship was going to be approved. And they denied him yet again, stating and citing all of these things. It was in the court documents, but stating and citing all of the things that had happened back years ago, and that basically they didn't want to allow him to be a citizen because of his past, right?
So can I go off on a tangent?
Please do.
So the brother ain't going to be let in, but back in the 80s, Fidel Castro basically released 25,000 convicted criminals out of his prison and had them come to Miami. And we know that the majority of the buildings in Miami were built with drug money. We got so many criminals coming from Ukraine and other countries. So we accept them freely, and I wonder why. But please continue.
Well, we wonder why, right? So I love it. I love the tangent. That was a great tangent. And I like how you kept it short. It was a tangent, but you kept it short.
Because I can go on.
I know. So now here we are today. This morning, 8 something this morning, if I'm not mistaken, it stated that Porsha has filed for divorce from Simon. Now, the questions are, and we're not here to really talk about the reality TV gossip of it all.
Sure.
But the question is, when she signed the contract, did she already know they were going to get a divorce? Or when she married him, did she know he had these things in his past? Did she know that he was dealing with, citizenship issues? And there was an announcement from someone inside the camp, from what I heard on DJ Richie Sky's video this morning. He said that someone in the camp said that this is not because of the citizenship issues. This is some ongoing things issues that they've been having in their relationship, as to why they decided that they're going to now get a divorce. Okay. So, but at the same time, if we had some ongoing issues and divorce was impending, then why did we come on and say not Porsha Williams but Porsha Guardia on the Instagram page, right?
Right.
So we don't really know what's true. But I wanted to give the background because I know that this is a trending topic right now today. And I also wanted to make sure you were filled in. But what I really want to talk about is, Porsha and Simon, they got married in 2022.
Okay.
After a short period of dating. Mm-hmm. There was some controversy on how they got together. So they've been married for a very short time. But the topic here is short marriages, short relationships, right? We go into, a lot of times we go into relationships and we make a big to-do. If a lot of money is involved, we may have big grand weddings. Everything, I know for them, a lot of things are based around the money that he has. Not that she didn't have money as well, but it's really the money that he has, the things that he's providing, the lifestyle that he's providing for her. But somehow, not even 2 years into their marriage, they're filing for divorce.
Wow.
Now, we know that can get pulled. They can decide to stay together. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about short relationships. Why some relationships fizzle out so fast. What are your thoughts on the short relationship piece of it?
I think that as a society, we've become hypersexualized, and we focus more on let's jump in the sack and make out, make love, have sex, instead of the quality of the person. Who is it that we're really in a relationship with? Do we understand them and their thought process? Has there been a foundation laid on how we're going to operate? What is our process and how we operate? How do we operate in the mornings, the afternoons, and the evenings? How is our work schedule complementary or in conflict with our relationship? So I think all those things are important to look at before we just decide, let's have a grand show, as my dad would say. Let's have a grand show. Let's spend $100,000, $200,000 on this giant party and make a spectacle of the relationship where the actual relationship isn't worth $2.
It's really something that you said really hit me, and that is the working out of what our relationship is going to look like, right? Because we know that the wedding is one thing, but the marriage is actually something totally different than the wedding. And they and speak if we're speaking of them specifically, they actually had multiple weddings because they did the Nigerian wedding, for his culture, and they did an American wedding for her culture. So they had two very big and grand weddings, and maybe it was 3 weddings. I don't know, but I know it was at least 2.
Okay.
But that's a great question. How much time did they put into talking about, discussing, agreeing on the business of the relationship?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to get a job, the job has a policies and procedures manual. And if you are late, then you get certain penalties for being late. But what is the policies and procedures manual for the relationship? And some people would be quick, right? I know some of the listeners might be quick, and I'm going to go here. You know how I go there. I'm going to go here. Some people would be quick to say it's the Bible.
Ooh.
It's the Bible.
I didn't know you were going to go there. I didn't know you were going to go there.
Yeah, it's the Bible, right? And I'm saying, but I'm not in disagreement with if that's somebody's philosophy, but only in that if that is the case, then people aren't following the Bible. So there's a disconnect somewhere. We have to have a policies and procedures manual for how the relationship is supposed to work, and we have to be open to changing that policies and procedures manual every 3 months.
Did you just say it was a business?
It's a business.
No, I think that's really good because, when people hear us say that, a lot of times that's very controversial. And I want to be clear that we're not saying that our marriage or our relationship is a business arrangement. But what we are saying is that you should have certain standards and practices within your relationship that will allow your relationship to thrive even when hard times come in.
Right. And there should be some aspects that has the appearance of being a business.
Yeah. I think that that's really good. And I think that this is going to start a really good conversation because I think that, we know that like the first couple years of a relationship is what we would call the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And everybody's having fun and everybody's lovey-dovey and there are very little arguments, or there's not really any argument that sex can't fix.
Everything is cute and oh, that's so sweet,
Yeah.
She cut up my furniture. That's so sweet.
Exactly. Like all fights can be fixed by a roll in the hay, right? Or sex. And then we're back right and everything is normal again. But what happens is when things begin to get older, right? When the relationship starts to get a little older, then we start to it can't be fixed by sex anymore.
Correct.
Right.
Especially when we start having other elements come to the relationship, other like children and work and everything.
Other stressors. Yeah.
So even what are we going to eat tonight now is an argument.
Yes. I don't know. It's too hard to decide. Yes. No, that's so true. And I don't know. Of course, I don't know them. I don't know Porsha and Simon, but just from looking, the social media view, which we know can really be false, in most cases is false. If you look at the social media view, everything was still fun, right? The private jets and the travel and the, properties in other countries and everything. But ultimately, they still are people. They have a blended family. They're not the same age. They're about maybe 15 years apart, 17 years, something like that apart. He's older. Okay. They're from different cultures. There's a lot of differences here.
Yeah.
So we can have a lot of fun early on, but there's a lot of differences in that relationship. That doesn't mean that a relationship can't work just because we're different, just because we were brought up different and we have a lot of different things going on. But it definitely makes it more difficult.
Even if so first of all, the different cultures, that is huge. A lot of times we see a person and we are attracted to them. They're maybe what we can see, their bodies, but we're not really, again, understanding who the person is. You know, so much can be deal breakers.
Yeah.
You know, for a couple. Now, I'm all about couples staying together. I think that the family is a very revolutionary concept.
Absolutely.
The family staying together is a very revolutionary concept.
The black family.
The black family.
Yes.
And I'm going to go here lightly. Y'all gonna get mad, but I'm going here lightly. Right? It seems like the system has been working against the black family. The system has been designed, set up to destroy the black family. So I'm gonna just kind of leave it right there without, going into facts and data that's been proven and admitted to. But I'm gonna just kind of leave it right there. So I think that the black family coming together, staying together, loving each other, raising healthy children, productive children, is a very revolutionary concept.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And honestly, what you just said, as far as things working against us, I don't think that our viewers are going to have a gripe with that. So how do we, let's kind of turn the corner a little bit. How do we, you talked about the manual, you talked about, really creating a, something that we can put into place that is business-like, business-esque, right? That will allow us to know how to move together. You talked about being open to changing those quote-unquote policies and procedures also every few months, especially if one or both parties feel that it needs to be changed.
Right. We got to at least check in.
I love that. How do we, do you think that a relationship like this, can it be salvaged? Do you think that a relationship like this, with the details that you know, should a relationship like this stay together, or should it not? Or what are your thoughts on that?
So inside of a relationship, there are certain things that a couple may have pillow talk about, may have agreements about, secret agreements about, that never leaves the bedroom. There could be agreements that one party forgets about, that they actually made the agreement, and now they're operating in conflict with the agreement that they made. So it could be a deal breaker for somebody else. And once it's a deal breaker for that person might not be willing to now go back, because they may feel that if you broke the deal once, it's possible that you might break it again.
I hear where you're going with that. Okay, I got you.
So, can it be salvaged? I don't know, maybe.
Sure. We don't know because we're not there.
Yeah, and if there's spousal abuse going on, mentally, physically, emotionally, verbally, then maybe it's best for it to end.
So although we're huge advocates for Black love and for relationships to stay together, families to stay together, that's what we fight for. That's what we fight for when it comes to, our friends and different people that come to us. We fight for the family, regardless. However, I think that you just made a great point, and you talked about different types of abuses that could be going on. And that's not to say that's what's going on in their relationship, or that's even been stated or suggested. But I think that you did a good thing by covering the bases, right? You said whether physical, emotional, verbal, because it can come in so many different forms, that maybe there's been some kind of deal breaker that maybe she just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. I think that sometimes we know black women have this thing with verbal abuse, in my opinion. At the same time, I know that men from foreign cultures have a thing with verbal abuse.
Okay, so hold on. So when you say black women have a thing with verbal abuse, sometimes men from other cultures have a thing with verbal abuse. Clear up like what the thing is for black women and what the thing is for men of other cultures.
So I think that black women, because they have a thought, they feel that they should be able to voice that thought.
Okay.
Right? However, the chemistry in the brain makes that come out. It's like, I'm going to say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it, to whom I want to say it to, and nobody's going to do anything about it.
Okay.
So I think that foreign men, I think that men from other cultures,
I know not what you speak of.
Like I think that foreign men, and I'm gonna go here for a second, but I think foreign men have a very machismo type of attitude where they're like, I'm the man, it's going to be how I say it's going to be, and you don't speak unless spoken to. Right? Sometimes foreign men will have that, right? But I think that a man has to be very disciplined over his actions, because when a man is out of control in his actions, people get hurt. I think that a woman has to be very disciplined over her voice, because when she uses her voice in an undisciplined way, people can get hurt.
Oh, that's good.
So that's my take on it.
That's good. Yeah. And again, this is, I love it. I love it. And this isn't, we're not making any assumptions about what's going on in their relationship, because we do not know. We only know what's in the public, and even that might not be true.
Right. I would only wish them the best.
And that's where I was really kind of going next. Again, you don't want to see any family, any relationship break up, but not knowing what's going on behind the scenes, it makes it hard to say, fight through it, make it work, stay together at any cost, right? Because we don't know what the cost is. We don't know what's going on. And so the only thing that we can do is wish them the best, whatever the best is for both of them,
yes.
Their families, the children involved, especially minor children. I mean, listen, when two people get together, like really two families become one. And so there's going to be a lot of people, family, friends, everybody that's affected by this. And even sometimes, outsiders like just viewers of the shows and followers of social media channels and stuff like that, they get really, really invested in people's lives. And so they can even be affected by this. And
to that point, let me say this. So when you said two families coming together, that's a very deep concept, because a man might be totally in love with the woman and ready to make it work with the woman, but she might have a mother that's against the relationship. She might have a sister that's against the relationship. She might have a cousin or another male family member that is antagonistic toward the relationship. And that could be affecting the marriage, because those family members could be somebody that's real close to the woman. So she might be influenced by how even her family members are seeing and perceiving the relationship. So, and it could be the same on the side of the man. You know, in that case, they might have, his family, and I'm not saying that this is true, but his family might be like, you should have married a Nigerian woman. There's a whole country full of Nigerian women. Why couldn't you marry a Nigerian woman? We know this family over here that's Nigerian, and why couldn't you marry their daughter? You know, so it could be a number of things that is affecting the relationship.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, like, even to say that, it's like, then we could say this, then we could say this, and we could say this, and we could say this. The point being that there are a number of reasons why a relationship can break up. And if we aren't resolute, a lot of times we don't start these relationships and we don't go into these marriages with a strong foundation. And the strong foundation is so vital when you're going into a lifelong commitment, or what's supposed to be a lifelong commitment. And so there could have been the foundation just may not be strong enough in some relationships for it to really, really last and really, really work.
Right.
And as much as we want to see the success of, you know, relationships and the growth and development of families, there are times when the best thing may be to
separate, end it,
and then work on yourself, figure out what part you played and what went wrong, and then move on from there.
Right.
And so unfortunately, these things do happen. Unfortunately, sometimes relationships do part. Sometimes people do separate. Sometimes people do go as far as divorce. The only thing that we can do is say we wish them the best.
You do.
And if anybody that is watching is going through, you know, something similar, you might be trying to decide, should I stay together with my person? Should I fight for it? Like, we've been through so much. It just seems like it's over. It seems like every time we come together, all we do is argue. Like, what would you say to someone that might be watching and they are in a situation like that where it just feels hopeless? Let's talk to the person who's not in a relationship where there's been like deal breakers, like abuse, for some maybe infidelity. That may be a deal breaker for some people. For some people, a deal breaker may be, you know, I can't get along with my mother-in-law, she disrespects me. Like, whatever the deal breaker is, we're not going to talk about any of those deal breakers, because we'll talk about some of that stuff in future episodes. But what about the person who's like, we just cannot get along? Because we see this often, right? We have people reach out often, like, we're just not getting along. What would you say, what would be your message to the person who's feeling that way?
There has to be a business plan laid out for the relationship. If the two want to stay together, there has to be some type, and I use the word business, but there has to be some plan laid out on how we operate together. If the woman is like, I can't stand it when he leaves his shoes in the middle of the floor, right? There has to be some type of agreement on just sitting down and having that conversation first, right? Can we get you to the point where we can get you to take a little bit of extra effort to put your shoes somewhere? And on the man's side, he might need to have his list where he says, this thing right here, the way you talk to me, the way you try to make me like a child is a deal breaker for me.
So maybe we can take one thing at a time on each side,
right,
and come to some kind of agreement on that thing.
Right. So it can't be, well, I'm gonna make sure that I pick my shoes up, and he's picking his shoes up, and then he says, I don't like the way you talk to me, and she says, well, that's just the way I talk. Like, it can't be that. It has to be an agreement on both sides and how we're going to move it. And when we get to a point where we can't agree, then we got to figure out some ways to make
make something else happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a really good strategy, you know, to take one thing at a time. No one person overwhelming the other with their whole list, right? And we start to see if we can come to those agreements on one thing or another. And then if not, some kind of mediation may be in order. You know, listen, it's possible to have really, really successful, long-term, lifelong relationships where not like the old school kind where like, you know, grandmama just stayed because that's what she did. And granddaddy got to go out and do his thing and talk to her crazy and whatever, right? And she just stayed. Just now we've been married 55 years, but nobody's really been happy. We're not talking about that kind of staying. We're talking about successful, growing, living relationships where parties are happy and they enjoy being together. Those relationships are possible. But of course, there are factors that come into play, and that is, you know, what we're going to be talking about on this channel is we're going to be talking about those factors. We're going to be coming at it from a couple's perspective, a successful, happy couple's perspective that's almost 3 decades in. But you're also going to hear it from a man's perspective, which you've already got a chance to hear from Amed. His thoughts on things are going to be different than my thoughts on things in a lot of ways. I get a kick out of a lot of the things that he says and the ways that he processes. And, you know, depending on who's watching, whether it's a woman or a man, you may or may not like something that one of us says. It's okay. We're here to learn together, grow together. The comments are always open, and you can say what your input is on things. We wanted to come in and we wanted to really talk about this particular situation because it is a trending topic right now. And, you know, give us your perspective. Shoot down in the comments. Let us know, like, what you think is going on. Do you think they'll be able to make it? Can you relate to this type of situation? All of that.
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's bring couples together.
Yes.
Keep couples together.
Keep couples together. Again, welcome to the Embrace page. I'm Rochelle.
I'm Amed.
We're happy to have you here. Can't wait to see you in the next video.